Hey guys, how are you doing? This is Rob of Rule of Two Review. Welcome back to the channel, and I can't believe I can say this, but we actually kind of, sort of, a little bit have some No More Heroes 3 gameplay to talk about. So this is a really weird, but obviously really exciting little story here. This happened earlier today during something called the New Games Plus Expo, and I will be completely honest with you guys, I didn't really know about this. I'd actually never even heard of this. I don't know how big of an expo this really is, or a convention that might happen every year. If this is some kind of really big, well-known gaming convention, it somehow is something that in my 39 years of life, I never heard of. Even as a YouTuber for the last 16 years, I've never heard of this thing. But it happened today, and the only reason I found out about it happening today is simply because of this No More Heroes 3 footage that was actually shown by Suda51. But again, as I kind of alluded to in the beginning, there's a caveat with that footage being shown, and that is because this is footage that Suda51 showed while he was basically positioned in front of it. So he was obviously filming this from home, as most of us are doing everything from home right now, and he was also obviously in front of a green screen, and this green screen, after the first, I don't know, couple of seconds of him talking, slowly turns into what becomes really evident as footage of No More Heroes 3, and it's like, holy crap, it's just right there. So obviously this is kind of a bit of Suda51 being cheeky and trying to sort of troll fans a little bit by playing this footage, not even really acknowledging the footage. He doesn't say anything about No More Heroes in this little kind of minute and a half clip of him with this game. It's literally just him in front of the footage blocking Travis touchdown for the most part. You can see Travis pop out on the sides here and there as he's rolling or strafing, and so it's kind of good to be able to get those quick glimpses of like part of his body. But for the most part, the idea was I'm going to obscure the main focal point, the center big parts of the screen, and also obscure for the most part Travis Touchdown, the main protagonist of this game and the person you want to come see, while you kind of have to just, pay attention to what's going on around it and parse through it. And probably he was trying to even help convince people like me to make a video or content or a news story about it so that he kind of ends up not really showing off a lot of his game, but still generating that interest. And under normal circumstances, I'll be real with you guys, this would probably bother and frustrate me. And the reason it's not actually that aggravating is simply because it's Suda51. This is just kind of who he is. He's a very quirky, goofy kind of guy. He has a unique sense of humor. These are the characteristics that I actually like about him. So even though he's being cheeky and he's holding off the goods of this game from me as a No More Heroes superfan, I still am okay with it because it just feels so on brand for Suda, and it also feels on brand for like the weird world that is the No More Heroes universe, like in the game. So I should be more mad than I am. I actually just find this kind of funny. And so as far as the footage itself, I mean, there's, obviously only so much we can really talk about here because he's blocking so much of it. What I was able to glean, and I talked about this on Twitter, where I actually found out about this whole thing from my buddy Super Metal Dave. He was the one who kind of shared a tweet about it, and I was like, holy crap, I need to see this footage. I was out and about at the time, and then, of course, I watched it, and I was like, this is insane. And so, there's only so much we can glean, like I said, from this because of Suda's glorious face blocking this. The main thing that I could really tell here is it definitely seems like he's fighting a boss. It looks like a big clown girl or a big clown robot or something. It's kind of hard to see. Obviously, you guys are watching this footage on repeat here, so you might be getting a better glimpse of it than I have right now. But that's what he's doing. He's fighting a boss, and what I really noticed from this? Two things beyond the fact that he's fighting a boss, okay? One is that it obviously seems to be in 60 frames per second. I don't know if my footage is going to be playing at 60 frames per second because my editing software doesn't currently render at 60 frames per second, but I'm obviously going to link the original footage below so you can go and see it if you haven't. And there you can see that it's definitely running in 60 frames per second, which is not only great for any game, but it's really good for No More Heroes because even though the first two games are two of my all-time favorite games, they're not technical marvels. They have technical issues, okay? There's mechanical problems and faults with those games and all of Suda's games. I don't really mind them, but they are there. One of those is definitely an inconsistent frame rate. That's not what these games are really known for. So clearly, we're taking good advantage of the Switch hardware capabilities here, and we're getting at least what we see as 60 frames per second experience. Also, the action seems to be pretty fast-paced. Based on the way the camera is moving and swinging and tumbling around behind Suda, it looks like Travis is probably going to be very nimble. He might even be able to just flat-out jump. I haven't been able to see actual evidence of that, but just some of the camera movement makes me wonder if it's following him in a jumping motion that he might be doing. And that's unique because, honestly, with the exception of Travis Strikes Again, the spin-off, Travis doesn't just jump. Like in No More Heroes 1 and 2, you don't have a jump button. That's not really Travis. So if that's happening here, that's a pretty cool change to the gameplay. Travis seems to be doing a lot of strafing, a lot of blocking with his beam katana, and a lot of tumbling and rolling and somersaulting around left and right, probably dodging out of the way of enemy attacks and boss attacks. So it's pretty cool to kind of get that glimpse of how fast-paced and visceral the combat might actually be. The other thing I noticed beyond these things is, honestly, visually, if we just look at it visually, it looks like an HD, more advanced visual style from the first two games. And that is fine with me. It's not going to probably knock our socks off visually, but I think it's going to look very good for what it is and for what a No More Heroes 3 game is. I like that even though I'm colorblind, I can still see that it's very vibrant, and the colors and the kind of art direction of the world that he's fighting in does seem to be popping off the screen. And that makes me excited. Whenever I, as a colorblind person, can actually see that stuff, that means it's really being used to full effect. And even if I can't tell you what colors are what, I can see that there is a variety of colors, and they all seem very bright to me. So I'm definitely impressed with what I'm seeing there. I guess the last thing I might want to talk about is what we can see of Travis Touchdown, of the visual model himself. And again, I can only kind of give conjecture here because it's hard to really make out what's going on and really see him. But I think he might be, and I hate to say this because I know for some people this is a dirty word, but if what I'm seeing is true, he might actually be slightly cel-shaded, okay? And while I don't necessarily love that, I also don't hate that. I mean, I'm actually looking at the footage here while I'm talking again to try to see. And I don't know, man, he might be kind of cel-shaded, sort of the way he looked like in Travis Strikes Again, only much, much better with much more detail. Can't really tell, but I just wanted to put it out there that I've sort of seen that. I've also seen some of his super moves and power moves that he uses in the first two games. There, you'll see the flashing of like cherries, like what a slot machine might actually look like in Vegas, and that's the kind of mechanic they've used to activate Travis's superpowers in the first two games. So it's cool to see that stuff returning. You can also see the HUD, and that seems to match his life, his beam katana battery. All of that seems to match with what the first games were. So it definitely seems tonally right in line with the games in the series so far, just with better graphics, better frame rate, and just way more fast-paced action. And I don't know, whether or not Travis Touchdown is cel-shaded or not, I don't care because it does seem like he looks really great from what we can see. And I don't know, that's just what I've noticed so far. So I just wanted to share my thoughts on this quick update and this quick cheeky trolling that Suda51 gave us earlier today with No More Heroes 3. This is crazy exciting. As you guys have heard me say many times, other than The Last of Us 2, this was my most anticipated game for 2020 because the first game is literally like a top 10 all-time for me on my own personal list. I am dying for No More Heroes 3. I've said it before, and I'll remind you again, we've been waiting a decade for a third No More Heroes, and we thought it would never happen, but we do live in a world where this game is being made, and I love the fact that we've seen even this, even through the Suda51 jokey lens of I'm going to block the screen and block Travis, and you're just going to have to watch things moving around behind me. It still is amazing to see that this is happening. So now the question becomes, is this game sticking to 2020? Even before the worldwide pandemic, I still was thinking this game might be delayed past 2020. They have doubled down since then, saying it is sticking to this year, but I still don't know. Until they give us a firm date and actually are comfortable showing us a real trailer with real gameplay without Suda blocking it, I'm going to be a little bit skeptical. So hopefully in the coming weeks or months, we actually see more of this game, unobscured gameplay, a trailer, and a release date that hopefully says 2020. So that's what happened. That's what's going on and what my thoughts are. As a huge No More Heroes fan, I of course wanted to cover it for you guys. So now you've heard what I think. What do you guys think? What did you glean from this? And does it match what I pulled away from it? All that stuff, please talk about it below. And with that, this video is a wrap. Thanks, of course, as always, for tuning in, guys. This is Rob of Rule of 2 Review, and I'll catch you next time on another video.